You know, there's a huge crisis of faith happening right now. And no, I'm not talking about religion. Not directly, anyway. It's a crisis of faith in our governments. And today, we're going to dig into a really surprising connection right at the heart of it all. So, here's the big question, the puzzle we're trying to solve. Why are Christians and Muslims, two of the world's biggest faith groups, losing trust in politicians? I mean, on the surface, you'd think their reasons would be worlds apart, right? But what if they're not? What if, when you really start to dig down, you find that the reasons are, well, shockingly similar? That's what we're going to get into. And trust me, understanding this is super important for all of us. Okay, so let's start by looking at the Christian viewpoint. For a lot of believers, this isn't just about disagreeing on a policy here or there. No, this goes way deeper. It's a full-blown crisis of conscience. Listen to this. We feel our core values are being treated as political bargaining chips, not foundational principles. Wow, that quote just nails it, doesn't it? It really gets to the heart of the issue. It's this feeling that the stuff that's supposed to be sacred, the moral center of their faith, is just being hollowed out, used as a political tool instead of being treated like a real deep conviction. So what's behind all this? Well, it pretty much boils down to three big things. First, people see this widening gap between what political parties are pushing and what their faith actually teaches. Second, and this one is huge, is the hypocrisy. You know, leaders who talk the talk about faith on Sunday, but their actions the rest of the week just don't line up. And finally, there's this real frustration that super complex, nuanced moral issues are getting squashed into simple partisan talking points. And this puts people in a really tough spot. It starts to feel like an impossible choice, a zero-sum game. You either have to abandon your core beliefs or just abandon the whole political system because you feel like it doesn't represent you anymore. What do you even do with that? All right, now let's switch gears and look at the Muslim viewpoint. And you're going to see the theme shift a little bit here. It moves from being a crisis of conscience to a really fundamental question of representation.
And check out this quote. Politicians engage with us during election season, but their policies often fail to reflect our community's actual needs or protect our rights. Man, that just cuts right to it. It's that feeling of being used, you know? Like, politicians show up, shake hands, ask for your vote, and then, once the election is over, they're gone. And the policies, they don't help. It's like being seen as a number to win an election, not a real community that needs to be served.
And just like before, this is driven by some really powerful issues. You've got foreign policy decisions that can feel like a total disregard for Muslim lives overseas. Then, right here at home, you have policies that lead to surveillance and profiling, which, you can imagine, creates this constant climate of suspicion. And maybe the biggest one of all, a lack of real, authentic representation. You get leaders speaking for them, but very few who actually speak with them. And what does all that lead to? Well, it creates this profound sense of political homelessness. I mean, think about it. If no party, no politician really seems to have your back or protect your rights, where are you supposed to go? That kind of alienation is powerful, and it can make a whole community feel like there's no point in even participating anymore. Okay, so we've looked at these two different groups, walking down what seem like totally separate paths of distrust. But here, this is where it gets really interesting. Because it turns out those two paths, they're about to meet, and they converge on some seriously surprising and important common ground. And here it is. This is the connection. Just look at these shared themes. You have Christians talking about an erosion of values, how moral principles get thrown out for political gain, and you have Muslims talking about how principles of justice and human rights get ignored in policy. It's the same thing, just expressed differently. Both see hypocrisy, this huge disconnect between what leaders say and what they do. And both feel completely and totally unheard, like their deep, complex beliefs are just being mashed into a simple stereotype. The words might be different, but that core frustration, it's exactly the same. And that's really the big takeaway. The core issue here isn't about this policy or that one. It's much bigger. It's about a fundamental breakdown of trust in the integrity of our leaders. It's this creeping feeling that they don't really stand for anything except keeping their own power. So, what now? Where does all this leave us? What does this growing disillusionment actually mean for the future of how we're governed? This is why this matters to all of us, whether you're religious or not. When major foundational communities in a society lose faith in the system, it's like pulling key blocks out from the bottom of a Jenga tower. The whole thing starts to wobble. It destabilizes everything. Because, let's be honest,
A government that's lost the trust of its people is a government in crisis, period.
Which brings us to one last really big question to leave you with. When leaders are seen as having no real principles, they lose their moral authority to lead. So, if a government loses the faith of its most faithful citizens, can it truly govern at all?